Flacco was asked a couple weeks ago about being a mentor, and he was kind of like, there's no good reason or no good way to answer it, because if I say I want to be a mentor, then it doesn't sound like I'm trying to play a lot, and if I say that I don't want to be a mentor, everybody thinks I'm a jerk. Like, how do you kind of approach that? I know quarterback's a lot different than what your position, but how do you kind of approach all that?
I mean, I think he's a mentor by trade. I mean, you're 18, and you got a lot of knowledge. People will come to you for things, so you're naturally a mentor whether you want to be or not. Now, how good of a mentor, I guess, you want to be, it's based off of how much time and effort you're going to give to the kids or younger players, not kids, are grown men. But sometimes it feels that way. We talk to a guy's 22. Walter Nolan is closer to my oldest son's age than he is mine, which is crazy. But you can tell he's here for a reason. And but I take being a mentor, with a lot of honor. I enjoy passing knowledge. I feel like, there's no point for me to die with all this knowledge. Go to the graveyard, or whatever, in my career with all this knowledge. I have to share it with many people as possible, and especially people that are going to help us win ball games. So I'm going to help all the young guys as much as possible. And if I help them to a level where they're better than me, then the team is better, and I'll find my role and make it work. But that's the goal, right? I would like to help these guys be the best players they can be, and that's just football.
JT was saying that there's something different when a player gets advice and/or constructive criticism from another player than a coach. Now, you've been around a long time. I'm assuming you obviously agree with that idea?
Yeah, I mean, I think different people have different influences, right? And from a coaching standpoint, they're supposed to be critics to a degree, trying to help you improve your game. So everything they kind of say has a little bit of you take it with a grain of salt. But as a player, as a teammate, when they come to you, it's a little different perspective, and you're probably going to listen a little harder because they're not really supposed to be critics, we're not supposed to be critics. So I think it comes down to, I remember being a young buck myself, and Adrian Wilson, giving me a hard time. When I saw him at Patrick Peterson's, retirement ceremony, I brought it up to him, I don't even know, for him it was just one day of him being a leader, he probably don't remember it. But for me, it was a big impact on my career because it's like, oh, dang. First of all, I had to be better, and I got better because I wanted his respect and the other guys around, but also learned that in leadership, you have to be willing to communicate to guys and help them along the way. And sometimes it's not always being the best friend. Sometimes it's being honest and direct and telling them what it is.
Calais, do you know when that shift happened for you, when you were the sponge and then suddenly you were pouring into guys? What year was that? Was there a specific moment where that hit?
It was gradual. It wasn't a specific moment, but it did come pretty early. I remember probably year 6, you start people start looking to you as a leader, as a vet. And so it definitely, it's been a while. I've been in this role for a long time, which is good because I got a lot of experience in it. I know what it's supposed to look like. I know how to communicate with guys, and everybody doesn't like to be communicated the same. You have to kind of get a feel for how guys respond to information. And so I think that, at this point in time in my career, this is the best leader I've ever been. This is the best, teammate I've ever been as far as being a mentor. Now, hopefully I can still play football high enough level where it all comes together. But, from the leadership standpoint and the mentorship part of it, it's the best I've ever been.
I'm sure the emotions are going to be magnified as we get closer to the regular season, but to throw on the helmet again with the Cardinals logo, put on the new jersey, what have those emotions been like for you?
So far, so good. Obviously, for this level, minicamp is, it's very light. There's not a lot of emotion with minicamp, but I'm sure that first week, especially that first home game coming out of the tunnel, it's going to be a lot more emotional. I can feel it already. It's a lot of emotion. I never really wanted to leave, although I feel like everything happens for a reason, and I had a lot of great experiences, a lot of other places, and so it was definitely, the right choice, I guess, and everything happened the way it's supposed to. But coming back is definitely going to be, it's going to be very emotional, I'm sure.
With about 5-6 weeks of camp starts, how are you feeling right now, physically?
I'm where I'm supposed to be. I'm not ready to play a game, that's for sure. Mini camp coach, he gave me a lot of grace, and it was just like come around, be around the guys, a little bit of movement, but I didn't do too much. But come training camp, I'm ready to go, and I feel like I'm right where I'm supposed to be. The experience is a great thing, but the experience tells me like I can feel like I'm where I'm at and where I should be. I know exactly where I need to be, and right now I'm right on par.
You mentioned Walt. What stood out about him, whether that's on the field or just as a teammate, as a guy?
Lateral quickness. I was just telling him today that's one of the best parts about my game as well, is my ability to go down the line really fast, and like just that lateral quickness. He has unbelievable lateral quickness. Very few players can go kind of backdoor and come down the line and make a TFL. I've done that a lot in my career. Coaches hate when you go backdoor because most of the time you go backdoor, you open that gap up and you create creases and running backs score touchdowns. And so, you're not supposed to do that. But then sometimes guys can do it and make plays, and he's one of those guys that has that unique ability where he can, he has quickness. His quickness is a different level. And he has good instincts, and obviously I'm going off of 3 days of minicamp, so, we'll see, how it looks when the pads get on and, things get different. But, you can see athletically, though, he's very gifted.
A guy like Elijah Simmons, he's a rookie, he's undrafted, he comes into a room that they put a lot of effort and money into. What kind of message do you give a guy like that as he tries to find his way in the NFL?
Take advantage of the opportunity. He's getting a lot of reps, in all the different groups, but he's getting a lot of reps with the ones. And, that's, as an undrafted free agent, rookie, it's rare, but take advantage of it, make it look good so that the coaches like the way it looks so you get more opportunities. And, obviously, he's a big, strong guy, one of the bigger, stronger guys, you can be. I'm sure he bench presses over 500 pounds. Like, he's a big boy. But he works hard, and I think he's given an opportunity that if he capitalizes off it, he can do some great things. Obviously, it's hard to get real good information this early, but it's just cool to see him out there, and he doesn't mess up much. He's locked in, he's focused, he's eager for an opportunity.
Calais, you mentioned how this place has a special place in your heart given you started your career here. How cool is it for your career to kind of come full circle and to be back where it all began?
It's surreal, it's incredible. This is, when you're a rookie and you're hoping to hear your name called in the draft, you feel like it's a dream come true. And this is a team that believed in me, and believed that I had something to offer to this game. And that's always a big deal. And then to play 9 years here, have some success, have some failures, and everything in between. This place has been, this is what football is all about. That's why I learned how to be an NFL football player. And, you leave and you come back and have a chance to come back. It's been incredible, and the love I get in the building, from the other guys, from the staff. There's only a few staff members, but that feels really good. And then obviously being out in the community and seeing the fans and how much, just how happy they are to have me back. That also means a lot to me. When it's all said and done, I never really wanted to retire anywhere or sign a contract or do anything like that. I just, was going to ride off in the sunset, kind of pull like a Larry Fitzgerald type thing. So, he's been a great role model for me most of my career, or mentor. So yeah, but so it's cool to have a chance to come back and do something great here. And obviously, teams every team has high aspirations going into the season, and this team's no different. And I go out there and I see us throwing the ball around and playing a little football, and I say, okay, we look pretty good, and I think that everything is on the table for us, right? Obviously it's a lot of work. You got to, do everything you're supposed to do, between now and training camp, and then training camp, everything has come together. But this team is special. I believe it has all the tools to make a run, and I think it'd be a great story. Being here, coming back, it would be an incredible story. So obviously, we all have dreams, and we'll see if it comes to fruition or not. But I'm eager for the opportunity.
Darius told a funny story when he spoke with us a couple weeks ago about how someone was calling you Mr. 110, and at first he thought it was career starts, and then he realized it was sacks. So when you've got players in your room who are younger than you, like Walt, like you mentioned, Have you had to tweak your leadership styles to connect with players who are so young because you've been playing so long?
The guys have definitely changed. You know, I don't know if it's social media, the NIL, or whatever the reason may be. Guys are different. Rookies are different. You know, but every year you get experience with rookies, and so I kind of feel like it's already kind of changed naturally because the ultimate goal of a mentor and a leader is to be able to communicate and get the best out of guys. And so my skills had to change in order to have that happen. But you know, it's still football. You know, and to be good at football is the same way it's always been. You know, it's people who execute at the highest level. You know, people who get in the best physical shape they can be in, and you know, go out there and play with the right mentality and don't make mistakes. I mean, those are guys who have success. So, but yeah, how you reach guys are definitely different, though, for sure. And it's kind of funny because D-Rob is, you could tell he's a guy who loves football, you know. Just a little bit reminds me of myself, you know, just a little bit. You know, I was that happy-go-lucky kid, you know, that all the vets, you know, teased because I was talking too much, you know. But he's just a guy that comes in the building with great energy and is just happy to be here. And that's a joy to see because I love this game. You know, very few people love it the way I love it. And so you can see somebody else that loves it like I do. It's kind of cool. And, you know, it's definitely a guy I'm going to pour into as much as possible. And the sky's the limit for him. He can be as good as he wants to be.
You're the oldest player. I think, if I'm not mistaken, you're older than most of the coaches except for Jonathan. What's that like, being older than like the whole coaching staff?
Yeah, that's unique. That's different. You know, especially on the defensive side of the ball, I think I'm older than all the defensive coaches. You know, I mean, we're all co-workers and we're all trying to get the best out of the ball. And I could tell they're you know, all the coaches I talk to, you know, they're all very, very smart and they all love ball and they all understand ball at a high level. And so, you know, a lot of it is just, you know, trying to, you know, soak up as much as I can. But, you know, they're a lot more hip, a lot more cool. You know, we can have different kind of conversations that you probably can't have with the older, traditional, like, you know, 60-year-old, 50-year-old coach, you know. So, but also, I think my vocabulary and the kind of things I talk about are different now, too, being 38 years old, you know. So I think it is kind of interesting. But, yeah, you know, it's definitely different.
As you kind of touched on it earlier, but what are your thoughts on just Coach Gannon and the vision he has for this team?
I think Coach Gannon is a tremendous coach. You know, he's a great communicator. I think he says, you know, what needs to be said in the moments that needs to be said. You know, so far, I mean, I could tell he has, you know, he has the right kind of juice. You know, I think he's gonna be a great motivator. I can't wait till his pregame speeches. I don't know why. I just think he's gonna give me really good ones. We'll see. You know, but you know, I could tell that he just has the right kind of energy. You know, right kind of communication skills, and the guys love him. You know, and that's really, I think, the testament of a coach is when you talk to players about coaches and how they feel about them. The guys love them, and that's what matters most.
When it comes to just having the chemistry that you guys have, JG said you guys care about each other. Is it rare to see that this early on? You guys come together?
I think the best teams have that. You know, the best teams have that camaraderie. You know, in that relationship, and you know, I mean, I'm coming in new, but a lot of these guys have been here together for a few years, and that matters too. That continuity. You know, that you know, and then I think the guys that were brought in, you know, spent a lot of time these last 3 days with Josh Sweat and Dalvin Thomason, and you know, a lot of good communication, a lot of good banter, a lot of football conversation, which is good. But you could tell those guys love ball, and so I feel like, you know, the team already having that continuity, a lot of guys, you know, being together, and then you're bringing in those kind of guys who just love ball and love talking ball. You know, I feel like they're bringing the right kind of guys, and that kind of builds that love that you need in the locker room for us to go farther. So we'll see.
Do you know what your plans are for Father's Day this Sunday?
Well, my friend Grady Jarrett's getting married on Saturday, so I'll be at his wedding on Saturday. So Sunday, we'll see how it will be. Yeah, it's off season, so I probably will be a little hungover. But I'll be my kids will be with me. You know, he's getting married in Miami, but you know, we'll all going to Miami, and then I'll be hanging with my kids. Just, you know, come back here and get back to work and start training on Monday.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, man.
Good. Hot out there.
So you somebody who is excited that we've come to the end here and get some time off, or are you kind of wishing it was going to keep going?
Oh no, I'm kind of I'm in the mode right now, so I wish we can keep going, but I'm gonna still be here next week, doing my same routine. So I feel like it's been a good OTAs, for me and the running back, for offense as a whole. So, but yeah, I'm not excited that it's over with.
You seemed like you were really getting in a groove last year before you hurt the ankle. How disappointing was that, or is it just you look at it like, hey, that's part of the game, and I've just got to deal with it?
Injury is part of the game, but I was definitely getting in the groove. The more reps I took, that type of player I am, the more reps, the more repetitive I am, and it's just injuries. It's a part of the game, like I said. But I was, I'm content with how I was going. So all I can do is improve.
Overall, you could see your growth throughout last season. How different do you feel now compared to this point a year ago?
Around this time last year, I was anxiety, panicking and stuff, but now I'm just you can see the difference in between like this year and last year. It's so much different now. I look way more confident and I'm just ready to work.
I wonder, in terms of your running style, as last season progressed, how and where did it improve or evolve or get better? Where did some of that evolution come?
I just need to just be more decisive. I was thinking too much at the beginning of the season, trying to hit the home run every time, but James being there, being in my ear, you just take what I can get, take what they give me, and just be a violent runner.
What was causing that anxiety and stress this time last year for you?
Rookie year and his defense. I mean, the whole organization, like NFL, is way quicker than college. I think that's what it was, and my mind was just racing. And I only played 2 years in college, so that's basically my third year really playing for real. So, I feel, but each and every game I got better. Like each snap, the change of pace, and like I said, I just continue to get better.
How about the shaker? And James was here recently and said how your off season, a lot of your numbers and strength and everything else is well. How do you feel right now?
I feel great. I'm like 7 pounds heavier than last year, but I'm way more explosive. Thanks to Kyle. Kyle, he's one of the speed training guys, and I haven't this whole summer. I've been with him the whole time, and just getting my power and speed ready for this year coming up.
So I'm curious, are you to find out what that feels like in camp?
I really can't wait. I'm itching for it. I can't wait to show everybody what I got.
Do you feel more explosive, or is there a tangible number that shows you're more explosive?
I feel like it's both. We got this thing called the what's it called? Basically, you put it around your waist, and it's like you running with weight on your back, really. And I've been putting up some of the best numbers on it, and it's been improving every single day.
Improving your explosiveness, was that a big thing for you to improve upon this offseason?
For sure. Improve my explosiveness. I feel like I could definitely be more explosive, and that was my focus this whole offseason. And it's still my focus now.
What are your expectations of what do you want to have happen this year in terms of your role? Do you expect it to be a lot of the same, or do you feel like because of your growth, it's going to improve your opportunities?
Oh, yeah, I feel like I'm going to get more opportunities, help James out a little more. I feel like we can have 2 RB1s on this team, and that's my mindset this year is 2 RB1s. Be able to help James out because he was the workload for us last year, and he set the tone for me and, set the tone for the whole running back room. So being able to help him out a little bit more this year, a lot more this year is the goal.
He's one of the league leaders in broken tackles, right? Missed tackles forced. Is there an art to that? Have you learned anything from James on, how to, not go down at first contact, that kind of thing? What do you see in that, your ability to do that?
I ask him all the time. He's one of the best runners I ever seen, and I feel like the people, the media don't give him credit that he's one of the top running backs in the league to me. He's top 5 to me, and I'm always stand on that. He's proved it each and every day. Even though he's, 30 years old now? He's still running like he's 22. I'm 22, so he's still running like he's my age. So I'm always on James, and he always on me, but me really just running violently with him. So that's really what it is. He's a bruiser back, and I want to be a bruiser back this year for sure, but, also with the speed.
Do you think some of that rubbed off on you and you kind of lowering the pads as the season went on?
For sure. Yeah, it definitely did because he was always in my ear. Every time I ran the ball, I go back to him. I go back to all the running backs, actually, and they just be more aggressive, really.
Is there a moment that sticks sticks out with James, where in your mind that you're like, okay, that's when I knew he was that guy, that he was that top 5 running back?
Man, I think it was we was playing the Chargers at home, and he was just going crazy. He put us on his back and just went crazy. I think that's what it was.
When you talk about feeling more comfortable this year and stuff, how much does it help having pretty much all the same guys back? You had not a lot of movement when it came to personnel changes on the offensive side of the ball.
I feel like it helped out a lot. You know, this is going to be my second year in this offense, and nothing really has changed. And we just picking up where we left off from last year.
Trey, you said you were overthinking a little bit at the start of your rookie season. It felt like maybe halfway is when you really start to go. Can you pinpoint maybe like a specific moment you felt like things really slowed down for you and you really got a grasp of what it was to be a running back in the NFL?
I think it was probably versus the Bears or the Jets, really. Basically, I was just getting more reps. I was in a lot more. You know, that's just how I learned, you know, being in the game and just taking those reps. You know, me getting the sideline reps is cool, but me actually doing it, that's what I actually feed from.
Do you have any communication with Calais? I know, like, obviously defense versus offense, but just him being here for an 18th year, have you, like, just kind of picked his brain a little bit?
He actually just followed me on Instagram yesterday. I was so excited. You know, watching him growing up, I don't even know how old I was when he first came in the league. So, not trying to call him old or nothing, but really just I haven't had a conversation with him yet, but I hear him talking to other guys, and I'm always, you know, eavesdropping in on the conversation. I'm a little nosy when it comes to him because I got to pick up all the wisdom I can from him. But it's really like just managing money with him, honestly.
Trey, thank you. Thank you.